go, 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 go. That's the birthday. That's the birthday.
Bruh, I feel like Snap is getting like so lame, you know?
Yeah, bruh.
Stocks and bonds. Stocks and bonds and Bitcoin. What's up, ZPAC? It's your boy ZDoggMD. We got our crew, Tom Heinemer, Logan Stewart. We're coming at a special time, 7-ish, 7:12 Pacific, and that's like 13 o'clock Eastern, and I don't even know what it is in Guam, but Guam doesn't matter to me because it's about to be nuked by the North Koreans. Am I right, Logan Stewart, Marka?
What? Mm-hmm. Hellfire, Z.
Hellfire and brimstone. Guys, we are talking about smartphones and the demise of the human race. It's basically, Wednesday around these parts. This is Incident Report. Do me a favor, hit share right now. You're going to want to hit share on this one because it's dope. Hit like, it helps us a lot. Go to iTunes, rate our podcast, and subscribe. All right, that being said,
Izzy, quickly, push your iPad back 1 inch. It's in the camera.
don't you ever tell me what to do. All right? You're not the boss of me, Tom Heinemer.
Do it now, I'm the producer.
I
Also
want
move-
my iPad where it is.
Move your lav up a little bit, Z.
Move your lock, come on.
It's a little
Jeez,
far away.
you guys,
The people need to know.
There you go.
just trying to do a show. You
And you guys
keep-
say this show has no authenticity.
There's
Actually, no
so
one
much
says that.
authenticity.
How dare you.
So much authenticity.
So
Go
let's
to the
talk
Tad
about-
cam. Tad has something to say about this.
Tad!
This is so damn authentic, people.
Sad Vader. Back to Tad.
Tad cam. We're back.
Let's talk about how the phones be rotting our minds, yo.
Okay. Oh, come on, dude. I turned the volume off on this. All right, speaking of phones, I have no idea what the hell. I've got two devices going at once, a camera right here, and these two clowns on the board. And we are doing a show about how our smartphones destroying the latest generation of humans. And this is based on an article that we read in the Atlantic. Yes, we read. And yes, Tom is literate marginally, mostly because Audible taught him how to read by reading to him, basically. He still can't write cursive, but that's neither here nor there. We read this article in the Atlantic called Have Smartphones Destroyed a Generation? And it's interesting because I posted it on Facebook a few days back, and what I noticed is people did the classic social media thing, which happens to me a lot as a victim of this. They comment based on the title. They don't actually read the article. And so there were comments like, oh, another millennial bashing article. It's so trendy to bash millennials. And I'm like, I know, I do it routinely. However, this is not what this is. This is actually talking about the generation that came after the millennials, which has been dubbed by the article's writer, who is named Jean Twenge, as in she has a twinge of nostalgia for Gen X and Boomers, iGen, or basically the iPhone generation. And she's talking about the people that were born between 1995 and 2007.
Dude, isn't iGen the bad guys in Jurassic Park, by the way?
Do not make me come over there. I'm going to be honest with you, and this is a very it's a vulnerable moment for me, but I have never seen Jurassic Park.
What?
Never seen it.
Ugh.
It
What's
looks
wrong with you?
Ding, 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 ding.
All right, back to
There's
phone. I'm
Vader.
going to let that slide for now.
Let it slide for now, because you know what I started doing yesterday, Tom Heinemer? I started watching Game of Thrones.
Oh my God, that's so much. You're amazing.
At
Don't
your-
nobody spoil this for Z, or I will kill you.
If
Game
I
of
see a
Thrones style.
single comment about Ned, whatever the heck, getting his head cut off, I'm going to kill someone.
See,
Okay?
he already knows. That's a big
Look,
spoiler.
I read the internets. You know why? Because we're back to this article that brings it full circle. So the iGen was raised, again, starting in 1995. This is a very specific generation, came after millennials. My daughter, Z-Pup, was born in 2007. She's the outside of the iGen. And she was born the year the iPhone came into existence. This generation has never known a world without the internet, and it has never known, more recently in the teen years, a world without Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook. And the article describes, this person studies generational differences, not to be nostalgic for the past, but rather to see what is going on in the present and how's it going to shape everything from economics to politics to race relations to how we live and how our workforce looks. And what, in her experience, and she's been studying it for a while, the changes with this new iGen, 1995 to 2007, are as profound and as sort of dramatic as anything she's ever seen. And to summarize the article, it's basically saying it's the advent of two things: social media combined with the smartphone, which, by the way, it's gotten to the point where I don't even who calls them smartphones
Nobody.
anymore?
They're just phones. They're just phones.
It's your phone.
Yeah.
Like you pick up your phone, it's not your smartphone. We're not like, this isn't my Palm Pilot, guys.
Hey, from the article, one of the interesting things was they said that a girl in, I think it was Kentucky, her bed caught on fire because she was sleeping with her phone, and the researcher wanted to know how many people are sleeping with their phones, and almost everybody, I think it was USC or something, everybody in the class, their hands went up. Z,
Yeah.
what do you do with your phone at night? Because
I
I tuck mine under my pillow.
I sleep with
I
it.
really do.
I sleep with it. And I used to, I have it on vibrate in a way that I can hear it if it's going off. And so when Tom sends me, face snap pictures or whatever of me with different, like aged or youthified or turned into an actual Indian, it wakes me up and I look at it. So phone addiction is an interesting thing in the Gen Xers and older people, but in this iGen, they know no other world. And the point of having this discussion isn't to ridicule a generation or go, gosh, in my day we walked uphill both ways in the snow and it should be our way. No, it's to understand them. What are their strengths and upsides and what are the downsides, and how can we maybe ameliorate some of the downside while accentuating the upside? Reading through this article, it was fascinating because she kind of went through a little bit of a history of some generational differences. So say Gen Xers like myself, when we grew up, you were waiting every single second to get your driver's license. The driver's license meant freedom. The minute you could drive, you were out of the house, you had a curfew and all that, maybe you didn't listen to it. I remember I had a curfew and I was right at the cusp, so two physician parents, they made me drive a Volvo because my dad was like, you got to drive a Volvo. You are not going to drive otherwise because I know you. You are going to wrap it around some person and that person is going to be tougher than most cars, but not a Volvo. And that way, that person will die, but you will survive, my son, to have a progeny of your own. That will be an iGen. So he lent me my mom's Volvo. So if I went out and about when I was a teenager in Clovis, California, I would drive this Volvo 740. It was like a tank box. But installed in that Volvo was a 1990s cell phone. And by that, I mean it was about this big. I think it had, in my memory, it has a rotary dial.
That's pimp. The car phone was some pimp shit back in the day.
Car phone, literally in the car. Because my parents were doctors, so if they were driving, and there's like 20 miles between, pay phones in rural America, and there's no pay phones. And so they had this thing in the car. So when I would violate my curfew, the phone in the car as I was driving home at midnight would fucking ring. It would ring people. And I'd be like, oh man, that was awesome. I totally kissed that. I got to 0.5 of a bass. Woo! Like I blew a kiss at this girl. And the phone would be like, and it had the craziest fucking ring. It was like, and I swear to God, it was like getting 360 joules of like unsynchronized electricity right to the chesticles. I would jump out of my skin. It was dangerous actually, 'cause I'd be driving on these country roads at night, and then, and I no choice, because I'm in the car, I pick it up, and oh my God, I told you, I came here from India with nothing in my pocket, and this is how you repay me to go out philandering in the middle of the night. So this was exactly how we were raised. It was about trying to assert your independence from your parents, driving around, engaging in risk-taking behavior. So drinking, going out and partying, having sex at a younger age. And what the article goes on to say is, now when you look at the kids in that iGen now, they're coming into the teenage years, they are having sex a full year later than Generation Xers. So somewhere around 11th grade is where the average iGen person is having intercourse. They are getting their driver's license later or not at all. So pretty much everyone in Gen X had a driver's license by senior year. Most of them would get it as soon as they turned 16, right? You get your permit and you go do it. Now, like 1 in 4 don't get a driver's license by the time they graduate high school. And when they interview these kids in the article, they're talking about how the kids say, well, my parents drive us everywhere. It's like having a chauffeur. Why the hell do I want to drive, right? And there's Uber, and I don't know if kids can use Uber. Can kids use Uber? I don't even know.
No, but you can call it Uber for your kid.
For your kid.
And then you can track them on the GPS. I think a lot of parents actually feel it's safer to do it that way.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, obviously the kid has to be of a certain age. You can't put a 6-year-old in there or something.
Right. Although I will try. Believe me, I got a young Z pup who's 6, and she's going in a lift with a star rating of 3.
Do you think you could even explain to Z-Pup what a car phone was? Would that concept even make sense to her?
Oh, anytime I try to explain anything to my iGen Z pup, 2007 born, she gives me an eye roll and tries to grab a device and look at it. Unfortunately, she doesn't own a device because we won't give her a phone. So, which segues nicely into the next part of this discussion. These kids, instead of engaging in the risk-taking behavior, going out, socializing one-on-one, engaging in drinking and intercourse, they are doing this. Oh my God. I got only 14 likes on this picture of me with my dog in my bedroom.
Delete it.
Delete it, just delete it.
That is so lame.
That's a stain.
No one likes you.
This is a pox on
Like,
both
no
our
one likes you.
houses. And it's literally a different way of socializing. They socialize through their phone. And in fact, they quoted one girl in the piece as saying, "My bed has a permanent imprint of my body on it because that's where I spend my time, on my phone in my bedroom." They spend more time under the safe auspices of their parents' house, but unfortunately that's not spent talking to their parents. Even when their parents are talking, they tune them out, and this is through interviews and through personal experience, and they're on their phones texting their friends or on Snapchat or trying to engage in that way. Now, here's the thing. I'm not interested in this to go, oh my gosh, that's so dumb, or why would that happen? Because I'm guilty of the same thing. My livelihood now is practically via this little device, and I spend a lot of time, to my wife and family's chagrin, staring at it, right? You guys will see, sometimes I'll do a live cast, and then right after, I'll be texting pictures of my dinner. Like, that is iGen behavior. And I justify it mentally as, oh, well, this is what I do. I'm Z-Dog and I have to do this.
Yeah,
but
because
there's
when you
no
have
justification.
narcissistic personality disorder, you're an honorary member of iGen, basically.
Exactly. Access to iGen deferred. That's me. And so, but the reason I'm interested in this is, again, not for ridicule's sake, because I share some of these characteristics, right? It's, as a Gen Xer, it's because this is actually potentially harming these children at a very important developmental stage. So the article goes on to talk about how mental illness in the iGen rates are skyrocketing if you believe the reports. Now, maybe we're overdiagnosing compared to when I was a kid, but whether or not this seems to be happening. Now, the other thing that we have to distinguish is it's correlated with social media and iPhone or smartphone.
Can I share something with you?
Yeah.
So I was, me and Mrs. Heinemberg were touring model homes the other day, and I took
Oh my God, you are just so privileged.
It's white privilege. I took a picture of this in what was supposed to be the girl's bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
It's a series of Instagram filters with 2,000 likes on this one, 2,000 likes on this one, and then
Selfie Sunday.
The next wall is a hashtag, I guess. And I know what the designers are going for there. It's like, it's cute, it's trendy, it's what the kids are into. But it actually makes a big statement about the self-worth of the girl being tied up in the likes of what she gets on Instagram. And they're trying to implant that from the minute she moves into this room in this model home. So it's
Go to the TAD cam. Beep. This makes me so sad. This makes me so, I don't know why, but it makes me sad. And wait, why is my face, wait, who is that guy? I hate you, Logan Stewart, so much. I will come over there. Well, so think about this. Think about the implications of this. That is a thing. How many likes you have on Instagram.
Put that picture back up. Just
put it up. Let's talk over it.
This is above your bed if you're a teenage girl.
When my sister, okay, and the only teenage girl I have good experience with in terms of her room, because no other teenage girls would let me near her room, neither would my sister, but it was in my house, so when she was gone, I would go, well, what's going on in here? Oh my God! You know what I saw? I saw a Def Leppard poster. I saw an Axl Rose poster. I saw those sort of things. And it was about the music. It was about rebelling. It was about this sort of weird kind of risk-taking thing. My parents made me escort her to a Megadeth concert when she was in high school. And I was like late high school, and I think she was early high school or something. And that was like as extreme as it got. And now it's about not even leaving your room. It's about staying on the phone and your self-worth being tied up in the risk-taking behavior you can do through your phone, and your validation of who you are and your identity through Instagram and Snapchat and these sort of ephemeral social media things. Now, here's the thing. If that were a good thing for our mental state, more power to them. The concern is that it's not. So the concern is, and several studies have kind of borne this out, and the article cites some of them, increased social media use is associated with worsening mental health statistics, depression in particular, anxiety. And there are theories for this, and again, correlation doesn't imply causation. It doesn't mean that this is causing it, but it does make you scratch your head. And they've done some finer tuned studies that maybe suggest more causation than necessarily just a correlation, that depressed people go on social media more. That's not necessarily what they're seeing. They're seeing, a really interesting connection. And so Lisa Yoakum says, love David Cassidy, right? That was like the late 70s, early 80s equivalent of this. So the problem now is we have the highest rate of suicide in teen girls that we've ever seen. And they said
that for the first time ever, the teen suicide rate is higher, or the first time in 30 years, teen suicide rate is higher than the teen homicide rate.
Let's unpack that for a second. The teen suicide rate is higher than the teen homicide rate.
Put simply, that means that more children are killing themselves than are being killed by their peers.
Right. And how can you be killed by your peers through a phone unless you are encouraged to kill yourself? Which we've already seen cases of this where the young girl was convicted. She was 17 at the time she goaded her 18-year-old boyfriend into killing himself. And here's the thing, guys. How many do you, in the old days, how did we communicate? It would be a landline where hopefully, and my parents had to get me my own landline because I talked on the phone so much because I was a gregarious little asshole. And I was always on the phone, and the answering service for my dad and my mom would keep call waiting popping all the time. Oh, hi, this is the answering service. Is Dr. Damania there? Which Dr. Damania? Oh, Mr. Dr. Damania. And then I would have to, oh, dude, I gotta go, and go off. So it was a landline, and you would talk. If I encouraged somebody to try to kill themselves through a landline, and they did it, no one would ever know. Now when it's happening through social media, this is documented in a trail that anybody can see. And so we're in this really crazy new world. Also, when all your interaction is coming from a bed, humans, I wonder if we're designed for that. And is it changing our brain chemistry in a way that is deleterious? Can we intervene in a way that keeps the good aspects of smartphone technology and all the connectivity while eliminating this lack of social connection?
Della says, talking about teen suicide, have you heard about the blue whale challenge? Scary stuff out there. We were just talking about this actually earlier, which for those of you guys that don't know, it's a challenge that started in the Ukraine, I think, and it's basically where an older teenager or a young adult will get a preteen, like groom them into killing themselves over a, I think, 50-day period or something like that by doing increasingly more gruesome challenges or whatever. And then the last challenge is you kill yourself.
I mean, the kind of shit we used to do, you had to do this stuff face to face, and it just would rarely happen. But
how are you going to look at somebody face to face and be like, kill yourself?
Yeah, go cut a image of a blue whale into your arm, right? So, so that's the thing about this. When we talk, we talked about millennials, and it's kind of this good-hearted ribbing that we do, and we recognize that millennials have this really positive spin on the world, and they're going to change a lot of things. With iGen, I actually am deeply concerned. Like, I'm more worried because I have daughters that are iGen, right? And I worry, like, after reading the article, I sat down with the oldest Z-Pup, and I'm like, here's why, even though you asked me for a phone, I'm not going to give you a phone until the very last minute possible. And this is why. And go, see how you and I are talking right now? That's not going to occur. Like, things are going to change, and your peers are going to pressure you, and you go to this private school where all the rich kids already have phones, and you're coming home and going, well, Chloe has a phone. And it's like, well, we're not, I made that name up. We're not Chloe, right? We want to talk. We want to have a conversation at dinner. And then, of course, it's my daughter who's calling me out for my iPhone usage because, Daddy, I don't care what you're doing for Z-Dog. You need to put that down and pay attention to me. My youngest one, my 6-year-old, actually calls me, just looks me straight in the eye. She's like, Daddy, put your phone down right now and pay attention to me.
Doesn't it worry you having girls in this environment? Because one of the things the article points out is that women are, usually undermine each other's social status or relationships, whereas men just punch each other. And now the phone is like a nuclear option to undermine social status and relationships.
Well, and again, I don't want to stereotype men and women, although we should at some point talk about that Google manifesto, Tom.
Let's talk about that later, yeah.
Yeah, because that is
I'm
a fascinating. If you
interested in that.
actually read that manifesto, it's fascinating. He actually pulls in a lot of Jonathan Haidt's sort of moral psychology, which I thought was really interesting because I think the press painted that as, oh, he's just a sexist piece of crap, and it's actually more nuanced than that. But this idea that that boys and girls actually do behave differently, I'll tell you, I mean, my own children, my own little girls are so emotionally manipulative of me in a way that I've never seen. Boys do it very differently, and much more physical. It's not, and again, I don't want to paint everything with one brush, but there are some certain characteristics that you can notice as a parent. And I can imagine that extending to social media. But tell me, you guys, Z-Pack, give me some comments if you have kids who are iGen. You know, what's going on. And I sometimes will troll on Instagram other docs, parent docs who post, I follow them, they post their teenage kids, and almost always it's a post with the kid like sitting on a beanbag looking at a phone, and they're like, here we are on vacation. And I'm like, wow, you're in this beautiful idyllic woods, and they're staring at the phone.
Brian wants to know, and I think I want to know too, what age do you think is the right time to get a phone? So I'm sure you and Mrs. Z have talked about this. So what's your philosophy on this?
It's tricky because nowadays a phone is almost a safety device, right? Like if you don't have one, how do we know where you are? How do we know what's going on? If there's an emergency, you know, how do you call? If something bad happens, there's a record on the phone a lot of times. This has come up. So
would you get them a dumb phone?
I kind of almost want to get them like a stupid flip phone that doesn't do much except for broadcast their location to me, right? So, but again, and when does that change? 16, 12?
Well,
you know, 18?
My wife just got hired by the school district, and they only let her use PowerPoints. They want her to use tablets.
Really?
She can't use PowerPoint. She can't print anything out. Every single kid has to have a tablet in front of them to go along with what's happening.
And look, like,
because that's how they communicate now.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, that's the brave new world of technology, and that's technology's promise. Now, the question is, how do you ameliorate the peril of that? Because it's clear. And again, I encourage you guys to kind of full circle my original comment, which is people tend to respond to headlines when I post things sometimes and not the content, because it's hard. We're all really busy and it takes a lot of processor cycles to read an Atlantic article because it takes time. But it's worth reading before you comment because it's actually quite a nuanced article. And the same goes with, you know, our live shows and things like that. And this is, again, part of our new internet culture where our attention span is so short that we're only able to take these little sound bites and not dig into the deeper stuff.
Rachel says, real quick, there is a term I learned from a younger student, FOMO. Z, do you know what FOMO is?
I don't know what FOMO is.
You never heard of FOMO before?
No.
FOMO is fear of missing out. And Rachel goes on to define it here, and she goes, I'd never heard this before. It's a common term in the younger generation. It's a sense of depression and loneliness when looking at Facebook, Instagram feeds that display better lives, and I believe the act of comparing, especially in vulnerable teens, can severely degrade self-esteem. And this is true, and when we were in college, we used to talk about FOMO, about parties and stuff, you know, just like, dude, oh my God, the FOMO, dude, so bad, like, that beer, amazing.
Dude, you know, I get FOMO now looking at social media. Like when I see other people post stuff, I'm like, oh my God, that person's life is awesome. Like, what's wrong with my life? And this is, I think, one of the purported instigators of depression related to social media use is this human impulse to compare yourself to other people. And like you said, when you're a teenager and you're forming your identity, it's a couple of clicks for a party to actually happen, people to go, and the whole time they're there, they're Instagramming or Snapchatting what's going on. They're seeing the world through the phone and hoping that other people will be along for the ride. And if they don't get enough likes, it's devastating. And if they don't get invited and they see their friends Instagramming or Snapchatting this thing with, you know, somebody else's BFF and this is going on, FOMO could be extreme, right?
One of the things that I've said to people before when they ask me about the millennial generation is I'm just like, you know, you got to understand, like, we had access to the tools of self-promotion before we had a self. So we didn't really know what we were promoting, and it shaped our behavior. And this new generation, I mean, think about your daughter who was born the year Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. She's never known a non-iPhone world. That's crazy.
And it's spot on. And Liliana Cook points out something important. You post your highlight reel. That's what it is. It's like, you're not posting like, oh, here I am with Tad just chilling. It's like, no, here I am. Tad. Here I am with Tad.
Me and Tad are in love.
Me and Tad are.
Hashtag.
BFF, hashtag YOLO. Right. I think Tad hurt my tooth. He's got a hard head.
Well, when we were in film school, we used to say that that movies were life with all the boring parts taken out.
Yeah.
And so everybody's sort of crafting their own movie of their life online. You know, and you're seeing all the highlights of their life. Liliana's totally right.
I think she's right. Elizabeth Chicantelli says, flip phone until 17. You want a smartphone, you buy it, you pay for the upkeep. So,
True that.
Elizabeth, I mean, the kids, that reminds me. So another piece in the article is like kids no longer tend to get jobs in high school because they don't need the disposable income to go out and party and buy that, peppermint schnapps and get gas money or maintain their car. It's really just the smartphone. So the idea of and also like in the information economy, that stuff on your resume no longer helps as much as the parents feel like, well, let them have the smartphone and learn how to code and do this other stuff because that's what is going to be rewarded in an information society. So the whole landscape has shifted. And here's another sort of thought about this. It's shifted in a way that's accelerating, right? So it used to be the differences between the generations were relatively minor, although each generation will play them up. Now it's pretty clear, like iGen is really different than the millennial generation, which is really different than Gen X. And Gen X and the boomers are closer than you think, right? So things are starting to accelerate with the change in technology and how we relate to each other because we are primally social creatures. Let's read some more here. Amy Dickerson, can I meet you at Summerlin Hospital when you go back to get your PPD read? So I went the other day. Here it is. You guys can read it for me, except you have to feel for induration, right? Actually, let's do an insert cam.
Boom!
Out of my way, Tad.
Move, Tad.
All right, here it is. It's totally flat, but we're not yet 48 hours out. So, yeah, sure, Amy.
I got a good comment from Sarah. She says, I have 2 iGens and I'm an RN, MSN, NP, and both my kids are glued to their phones. And my God, it's a very fine line. My daughter has lost 4 close friends to suicide, and there have been multiple kids in a few months. So, I mean, that's crazy right there. Like, I never lost 4 close friends to suicide. I knew one dude who killed himself, and it was because he was trying to play Russian roulette while he was high. All right?
Yeah.
It's very different than actually trying to kill yourself.
That's like, wow. 4 close friends who committed suicide. So something is really wrong. And this relates to the show we did about 13 Reasons Why and the whole culture of suicide among teenagers. And again, it's worse on Grindr, says Jay Kurdish. I bet it is. Let's see. Well, let's read some more comments here because these are pretty.
You know what's weird is that 13 Reasons Why was a book that came out when we were in middle school.
Really?
Oh, really?
And no one complained about it.
Well, it's interesting because even the differences between, isn't that interesting because it's the medium. Who the hell reads books anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to watch a Netflix special, you're going to talk about it like Game of Thrones. Like the reason I'm watching Game of Thrones is I'm peer pressured into watching Game of Thrones. Everybody's like, you need to see this, it's amazing. I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, where the hell has this been all my life? They're right. So in that case, the peer pressure is good. Unfortunately, now I'm not sleeping because I'm just going to watch the entire thing. But with 13 Reasons Why, it's the same. It's the same thing. Everybody's milieu now is through that medium of either. And by the way, for the first time, a lot of people are watching Netflix on their phone. So again, that smartphone that the kids are going to bed with, the girl got burned because it melted in her bed, and people are like, "Why the hell are you sleeping with your phone?" And they're like, "Why the hell don't you?"
Let me throw you a weird theory. I mean, do you think that this is now just part of a normal part of adolescence, right? Seems to be, and it probably will only get worse with advancing technologies. Is there going to be some sort of like a retreat we send kids on when they've gotten like too deep in the phone game and they got to go to the woods for a little while and hang out with other kids and just talk to each other?
And bears.
And bears.
It's so funny because it used to be that you went on meditation retreats. People still do this. You go on a meditation retreat where you go away from the rat race of everybody talking and screaming at each other and striving, and you go in silence and you meditate for 10 or 14 days or a month at a beautiful place. Now I think you're absolutely right, Tom. Like the retreat would be go to a camp where we take your phones away and play with other kids and interact and hurt each other, punch each other, scratch each other. And the title of this show was drop the phone and have sex already, kids. And it's a joke, right? So please don't be butthurt by it. And it's a bit of clickbait, but it's also kind of serious. People need to connect one-on-one, not having, teen sex and getting pregnant, which by the way, the teen pregnancy rates have plummeted, right? Accidents are on the decline in teens, but suicide is on the rise. So it's a balance. We have to figure out what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong and try to work on making it better.
How important is it to have like real relationships in person, and like especially when you're in high school, you're trying to figure it out. That's a place you can make mistakes, and you shouldn't be so worried. And if you make those later, they're gonna have a more profound impact probably. Because you can always rationalize it with, I was young, I was dumb, I was stupid,
I was young, I was reckless. I took things way too. So let's see, Andrea Skiba. My son has severe ADHD and didn't feel secure in driving until he was 18. He got his license at 18. He got his first job at 18, and he's been working in the same place and is turning 21. Well, Andrea, I think that's great. And ADHD is a different situation, but he's still kind of on that sort of, it's an older school path, right? Like that's what kind of art was our path. Like I worked in a bookstore, and then I had a very white collar intellectual elite path for working. I used to teach MCAT, and that's how I paid my way through college and medical school.
I used to make smoothies. I worked at Tropical Smoothie. By the way, you guys, don't ever get a smoothie from anywhere. You have no idea how rotten those bananas are. And once you blend them up, you can't tell. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to go on record and say, if you need Tom Heineber to tell you how rotten smoothies are, you need something done.
Also, we would put a full cup of sugar in the smoothies.
Oh,
And
wow.
They're not healthy, man.
Yeah, but they're totally vegan, bro. So, I can't resist a little dig every episode. What do we got here? Kayla Veronda. Who decided when one gen ends and another starts? I also think there are many crossing gens. You've got boomers who have all the latest gadgets and millennials who live very unplugged. This is true, actually. It's very tough to distinguish, but you can kind of get an area under the curve, like a general bell curve, right? And there's always going to be outliers. Like, look at this team right here. I'm a Gen Xer, but I have really millennial tendencies and sensibilities. And that's what allows me to connect, I think, well with social media, but less well with maybe my boomer colleagues, right? Tom, who is technically a millennial at age 28, actually was raised by boomers in a sort of an interesting household scenario and is very connected to boomer culture. He knows more boomer music and culture and movies than I do.
It's true.
That's right. MASH was the best show ever, y'all.
Oh man, suicide is painless. It brings on many changes. And man, I'll tell you, when what's his name, the first captain, went down over the Pacific.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was sad.
I had one single tear like the Indian in the boat in that 70s pollution commercial. Apparently he wasn't Indian, he was an Italian actor, but who's counting? And that's Native American, not Indian. So Tom is more like kind of boomer mixed with millennial, mixed with iGen, who knows? And then Logan, who's 24?
25, see. I'm an
When did you
adult
turn
now.
25?
February.
Oh, I should have celebrated that. I think I might have by cackling and I celebrated your 25th birthday, Logan. I Scrooge McDuck dived into a pool full of Bitcoin.
You and Tom.
It was painful. So Logan has a very classically kind of millennial sensibility. So like
Deanna says, how are kids going to learn interpersonal social skills? I have heard of fears they have with having real-time conversations because you cannot go back and edit them like a text message. So these kids are scared to talk in person because you can't edit it like a text? That seems crazy.
Ooh, that's interesting. Well, try live Facebook videos sometimes, guys. Like, we get criticisms every now and again for shows that we've done, and I'm like, you try to fucking do a live show with 2 other people staring at a camera, looking at comments, thinking on the fly. It's not easy to do, and you will fuck up, and you will say stupid shit, and you will own it. And that's called being a man. All right? Or a woman, Tad Cam.
Tad Cam.
Be a man.
Tad is a trans-Cuban
Chinese. Tad says, be a man. Sorry. I'm doing a little Russell Peters there. So, I think, what do you think, Tom? Any other points on this? Do you have any other comments here that are dope?
I mean, our generation didn't really have this. Like, the millennials get pinned with a lot of stuff, but, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It was Lieutenant Blake, who died over the Sea of Japan, Sonia Chiapetti. That was MASH. Lieutenant Blake.
We didn't really have this. We had flip phones until we were in college, so the flip phone was the tightest thing you could, the Razor, y'all.
Oh, dude.
Shout out to the Razor.
My flip phone was a car phone, Tom Heineber, with a rotary dial. Why the hell are you out so late? I came from India to tell you. I give everything, and now you're driving my Volvo in the middle of the night with some floozy. I'm alone in the car, Mom, with my usual blow-up doll that gets me into the HOV lane.
Where do you think it goes? I mean, I guess that's my last thing I want to talk about is like just where.
What's our call to action?
Well, no. Just like, what does the future look like if this generation is going through this? What's the next? Technology is only advancing. I mean, Moore's law and everything. So we're just going to see stranger and stranger technologies.
Well, I think what it points out is that we need to be aware and alert to what it's doing to us. So we can embrace technology and we can appreciate each generation's successes and failures and attributes and detractors while still really understanding what's going on, because there are interventions you can make. Like having read this and understanding now how iGen even differs from millennials, I'm going to tread very differently with my kids. Like the example I said at the dinner table is going to be different. I'm going to hide the phone between my legs and peek at it while texting you guys, Deepak, instead of letting them see what I'm doing. And we're going to have more face-to-face time. I'm going to get them on more play dates. I want them out and about. I'm going to encourage them to get a driver's license or an Uber license or whatever, and no, they cannot ever have sex, because I'm going to laminate both of those girls so no one can touch them.
Laminate.
I have a full-size human laminator, Tom Heineber, and I'm not afraid to use it.
Also, P.S. I was watching I Love Kylie for research, not because I like it. And
not for side boob.
She has like 60 million followers. She's one of the youngest Kardashians, if you don't know her. She has like 60 million followers, and she said the minute she posts something, she just sits there anxiously watching it. And if people are like, "What the heck is this, Kylie?" she goes and deletes it immediately. And she's one of the most famous of these iGen.
You guys, like,
Don't
that
we
is
do that?
iGen concentrate. That's iGen concentrate. Let me tell you
Z does that. Every
Z
time he
does
pisses off the vegans, he's like, "We got to delete it, Tom Heineber." I'm like, "Leave it up. Let the vegans burn. Let vegan Twitter burn."
It's funny, I've come full circle on hate. Like, I'm just like, no, bring more hate. What can we do, Tom Heineber, to trigger people even more and just go full force? You know what's interesting is I used to actually be just like an iGener in terms of I'd post something and be like, oh my gosh, does it have any likes? And now it's kind of funny, like I'll post it and be like, oh, like I'll check on it later and be like, oh, this has a few likes, or whoa, this one did really well. And it's kind of, I've had to compartmentalize it because it was starting to damage my brain.
You know that Logan is the most confident person I know because all his photos have 1 like or
That's
2
true.
likes.
That's true.
Hell yeah.
But you guys got to understand, no one can access Logan's private
They're for
Facebook.
me, Z.
And it's really good because he's just, here I am out in the desert firing an AK-47. And
1 like.
yeah,
That's all I need.
1 like, and it's probably his wife. Actually,
No, she doesn't.
his wife gave him an angry face.
Yep.
So, you know, again, you got to find balance in the force. I don't think, Logan, you don't seem very interested in what other people think of you,
No.
which is why I like
Gotten
Logan.
over it.
Yeah, he's
Gotta
over
get
it.
over it.
And Tom actively wants people to hate him.
That's true.
And so that, you know, there's that.
Come at me, vegans.
Yeah, come at me, vegans. I'll cut you with a celery stick and smear you with vegan ranch.
It's because I was hurt a long time ago, Z, and I can't be hurt again.
You know what, Tom?
Did they touch you, Tom?
Tom,
You took it too far.
it's not what's wrong with you, Tom. It's what happened to you, bro. What happened to you?
Angel says my Instagram photos have 1 like. Everybody should go like Angel Cunningham's Instagram.
Angel
photos.
Cunningham, you are about to blow up. Where are you? I'm going to hit like on your comment right now.
Comment first, Z.
All right, now everyone knows who you are. They're going to go to your Facebook. You should go post your Instagram link, and you're going to blow up. You're going to feel the rush of dopamine that comes with getting like 40 likes the minute you post something in a second and then just blowing it up. And then you're going to realize it's all meaningless because the only people that matter are the ones right in front of you who are looking you in the eye and ready to punch you in the face for something you said in person.
Ooh, somebody called you a misogynist. Z.
Haters!
Where's that?
Elizabeth
Bring
says,
it.
that's not even funny. Those girls will have brains of their own and will not need laminating. That's a misogynistic comment, mate. You wouldn't say it about a boy.
Damn. Yeah, my son's gonna get some.
Oh, I would. If I had a boy, I would laminate his penis. I would, and I wouldn't laminate any other part of him because I would want him to practice putting his foot in his mouth and get really good at it because that's my stereotyping of boys. Actually, I want to address this misogyny thing for a second.
You misogynist scum.
Because I think this is funny. So this again has to go with people judging a book by its cover. You know, everything from this Google manifesto thing to pretty much anything that any press reports these days. I got a message. I had sent out if you join my email list, if you go to my website, you can join my email list. So once every couple weeks, I'll send out a summary with, here's all the stuff we did this week, all the different videos we posted. When I was in the Bay Area, I interviewed 5 different docs, and it turns out they were all men. And so I sent out the email, and I was like, here's the interviews I did, Bay Area Radical Sabbatical. So I get a message in response to that email, and it was like, I like the interviews, but I want to comment that these are all men, and it shows your bias towards what a doctor is. At which point I replied and said, the other 5 interviews that I did with doctors on the show in Vegas were all women, every last one of them. So let's be careful before we jump to judging stuff, and let's actually talk about stuff and don't judge a book by its cover. Like this article, has the smartphone just destroyed a generation? People are like, oh my God, more millennial bashing. Nope. It's actually trying to understand iGen and figure out how we can do better in
That's right.
the world.
Also, if you laminate a penis, that's a great service to the young gentleman because that's like a permanent condom.
Word. Have you heard about this thing now? People are like, these quacks are telling boys to tape the tip of their penis shut instead of using a condom. Are you?
That's some David Avocado Wolf
Yeah,
stuff
dude.
right
That's
there.
Speaking of David Avocado Wolf, we're trying desperately to get Cy Babe on the show. She is hilarious. If you haven't read her David Avocado Wolf takedown, and this actually backs up a lot of the stuff I've heard about him from people who know him who've messaged me. He is a very smart, very sales-oriented quack. So, David, I love you, and I won't hesitate to call you out because you are evil. That being said, he's telling people not to vaccinate. He believes in chemtrails. He thinks the moon landing was fake.
We call that being woke, see?
Yeah,
That's
hella woke.
That's just being hella woke.
Tad Cam.
Tad!
I'm hella woke, see?
Sad Vader! Oh, he's sad and dark.
asleep. I'm hell of asleep right now. Dun, 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 dun.
And patriotic.
Man, you know that image of Vader, let's go back to that.
Ooh, David Wolf had some sort of meltdown on Twitter today.
What?
Oh my God, let's go read
Dude,
that.
read that. Pull up the tweets right now.
Okay.
We interrupt this regularly scheduled iGen for Tom to, okay, meanwhile, go to Sad Vader and we'll put a little filler in while he's doing that. Okay.
And I'm proud to be a Sith Lord, where at least I know I'm evil. And I use a lightsaber to kill the Jedi who gave that right to me. And I'll proudly rise up next to the Emperor and use my lightsaber. Because there ain't no doubt I bullseyed womp rats. Back on.
Oh, hello. What do you got, Tom? What's going on with Twitter?
I'm not seeing anything crazier than normal.
Okay, if you guys are lying to us. Samantha Allen Newman, I don't think smartphones have ruined a generation. It's the adults who supervise the ones who come after that have ruined a generation. Tom, you had actually commented on this. I'm going to give you guys Tom's comment while he looks at Twitter because he's an iGener. Tom had said that he knows a lot of parents personally that are friends of his that just basically throw a phone at the kid and use it as a babysitter.
Oh, dude. Every time I'm in the car with my one friend, his daughter's in the
You're my
back.
one friend.
My only friend. His daughter's in the back just like screaming her head off, and he's like, deal with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the next thing you know, she's like in a YouTube K-hole, watching snuff films from ISIS, right? So, I mean, this is exactly how I don't let my kids get on YouTube, man, because
Nope.
I mean, the YouTube's algorithm is not smart. It's like, oh, here's Dora the Explorer, and midway through, there's like full frontal male nudity.
Hey,
And you're
here's
like,
a generational difference.
swipe or no swiping.
Between your generation and our generation. When's the first time you saw a person beheaded?
It would have been the Daniel Pearl video that was on YouTube.
Except you were 32.
I was, yeah.
And I was like 12.
Oh, you must have. So what was that like?
It was crazy.
Yeah,
It
because
weird.
I was like, I've
I
lived.
was a little messed up for like a few weeks afterwards.
I've lived 30 odd years and I've never seen such a horrible thing. And you watch it on Game of Thrones, they just slice somebody's head off and blood squirting everywhere. That's not how it goes, guys. Like it's horrible. And now we're all exposed to this stuff. So the question is also, are we also desensitizing people to certain types of violence?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the video, Tom, where the girl near Los Banos Los Banos is the bathrooms, which is kind of Los Banos. Los Banos in California, she was driving her 13-year-old sister in the back of the car. She was engaging in some good old, this is actually the perfect way to frame this, Tom. Here's an 18-year-old girl with her 13-year-old sister and her friend in the back seat. They're not wearing seatbelts. The 18-year-old is driving the car and she is Instagram living while she's driving, very fast on a rural farm road. While she's living her life through her phone, talking to her friends, I don't give a fuck, man, I don't care. The car flips, you see this chaos, and I watched the YouTube clip because I just had to see what the news report was about, and I regretted it instantly, because you then cut to the scene where she's still Instagram living. Her sister is on the side of the road, and her head is basically entirely gashed open, and you don't even see her eye, it's missing, right? Because this is a real trauma, and anyone who works EMS or ER sees this, or in the coroner's office or in pathology, you see this kind of trauma, or in surgical trauma. And she's out there Instagramming her dead sister, who she just killed through a vehicular homicide, basically manslaughter. And she's talking about how she's going to go to jail forever, and she doesn't care, and wake up, sister, and she's sternal rubbing her sister and kissing her head. And that kind of horror, all right, first of all, it would never have occurred because they wouldn't have been Instagramming. She would have been drinking and done it the old-fashioned way with a DUI, right? And second of all, we never would have been subjected to watching that. And now I can't sleep having seen it, right? And I'm envisioning, my kids doing something stupid like that. So it's a brave new world and also a terrifying new world. And I think the call to action is grab your kids, don't helicopter them, let them take a few risks here and there, have them put the phone down for a little bit, maybe flip phone maximize for as long as you can, and just be aware, be vigilant about what's going on, and be vigilant of how we're relating to our phones. Because I had to change now how I look at this piece of crap, because I'm like, is this destroying my mental sanity? And it might well be. And of course I say this as I implore you to hit like and share and join us every time we're on Facebook, because you know what, Tom Heinemer? God damn it, we're different. We're better.
There's a lot of crazy on this David Avocado Wolf feed. Like a lot. I don't even know where to start. I found it.
Oh,
found
yeah?
all the crazy.
Should we just save it for another cast? Or talk about it?
I want you going to doctors, taking medicine, guzzling GMO food, getting injected with vaccines, going to hospitals. Is that a BS message? He's talking to some scientist.
Oh, scientists.
Oh, you scientists.
Slander like anti-intellectualism and pseudoscience won't stop scientific arguments such as this on GMOs. And then he posts a link to YouTube.
To YouTube. YouTube et al., 2017. It's a great citation, Dr. Wolf, with an E at the end of your name.
Can you scientism fanatics differentiate between a synthetic chemical made in a lab and a naturally occurring chemical made in nature? Hashtag duh.
No, we can't. Because a lot of times they're the same. You can synthesize natural guys,
So you were saying that
dihydrogen
you can prove
monoxide.
that every organic chemical is exactly the same as every inorganic chemical? Prove it, fake science!
Hashtag FOMO. Dude, I have fear of missing out on quackery right now. Like, I want to
Which
go
one
to
of
his
these are
page.
goods and which one are bad, you genius?
Is he
I
progressively
hold your
more?
BS and it's hearsay and conjecture. Wake the fake up! You got a religious and spiritual belief about science. Admit it!
Tad Cam.
Dad.
I am woke as fuck, you guys. I'm telling you right now.
Listen up, Tad. Prove that every organic chemical is the same as every synthetic chemical. Prove it! Let's see it,
The
Tad.
proof is right here in these buttocks. I'm showing you the proof. If I could pull down my pants and show you my ass, I would do it, because I would moon the hell out of you, David Moon Avocado.
Where is your damn proof? I'm waiting. I've sent a beginner's scientific investigation into GMOs, newborn baby chemicals, vaccines, etc.
Dude, I think Cybabe really got under his skin, man.
She
because
really got
she
under
did
his
a
skin.
real, you guys, look at I posted it on Facebook. And it's funny. So I post this article on Facebook and all these haters come out, oh my God, Z-Dog, you don't believe in holistic care.
Yeah, the thing is that I like David Avocado Wolf because he put a picture of a flower up with a quote about the energy from the sun. And I like that kind of thing. So
Like-
you can go straight to hell.
If you don't think that chocolate is on the sun octave of energy, then you just don't belong. Period.
Did you know that apricot pits can cure most forms of cancer? Look it up. Yeah, they have cyanide in them, but if you get just enough cyanide, you won't die. You'll just cure all the cancer.
If Big Pharma cured cancer, they'd break their model of money making.
We're hemorrhaging viewers, Z.
Stay woke! All right, guys. I think we've gone down the avocado pit, and it doesn't.
Down the avocado.
It doesn't get.
That's where all
better.
the teenagers used to hang out.
That's right. Yeah.
Back
Hey,
in the
yo,
day.
check it out. It's 90210.
Yo, we're going to the avocado pit. What's up, dog?
Hey,
you got
yo.
the peppermint schnapps?
Yo,
Yeah.
we were going around. We started going steady at the avocado pit. Oh, what are you doing now? Oh, we're talking. That's what the kids say now. They say we're talking. That's their equivalent of going around or going steady or dating. They're actually talking IRL, in real life. Shit's getting real, people. Shit's getting real. The apocalypse. If you don't think the singularity's coming, you better take your avocado. You better take your avocado and shove it.
Yeah, Tad.
Tad Tam!
All right, let's get out
Let's
of here.
roll
y'all.
out with Sad Vader.
Yo, no, real quick. Hey, Z, you know why there's no North Koreans on Star Trek? Because it takes place in the future.
Oh,
Slap
shit.
it 5, son.
Hellfire, bitches.
Go, 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 go. That birthday.